Hello, everyone. This is Grace. It is July the 30th, 2025, and we are continuing our study um, on the two kingdoms 2,000-year reigns, or the 2,000-year periods in the Bible, 2,000-year millenniums, basically. So, in this particular video, we're going to be looking at the two kingdoms in the Old Testament, and they're called the marriage supper and the marriage. Let's take a quick look at them again in Revelation 19. Let us be glad and rejoice and give. Let's read through this. And I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thundering, saying, Alleluia, for the Lord God omnipotent reigneth. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife has made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And he saith unto me, Write, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. So it went from the marriage to the marriage supper, the reception, which in the Bible comes before the marriage. It's a 7-day period before the marriage, and then they leave the supper and they go into the marriage. So, blessed are they who are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. The first 1,000-year period that is illustrated in Revelation 20. So let's go ahead and take a look at the remaining scriptures. Okay, we're in Judges. I marked up everything and I'm feeling like reading it. So let's go ahead and read. Not everything, but the highlighted parts of Samson's marriage. Now, Samson, of course, he did not get married. We have two pictures of marriages in the Bible, and neither one of them is a perfect description. They both had problems, and so we have to make do with what we have and put together the picture based on the information that we were given. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, that's the best we can do. And Samson went down to Timnath and saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and his mother and said, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Now, therefore, get her for me to wife. And that's the way it was done. You go to your parents, and your parents make the arrangement. Then went Samson down and his father and his mother to Timnath, and he came to a vineyard. We'll just read through this. And came to the vineyards of Timnath, and behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid, and he had nothing in his hands, but he told not his father and his mother what he had done. And he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. And after a time, he returned to take her. But when he returned to take her, he didn't go to her. He went to his father and his mother and said, go get my wife for me so we can get married. So his father went down unto the woman, and Samson made there a feast, for so the young man used to do. It was a 7-day feast. And it came to pass when they saw him, that they brought 30 companions to be with him, because it's a big party. It's supposed to be a celebration. And they were all Philistines, of course, because he lived among the Philistines. And Samson said unto them, I will now put forth a riddle unto you, if you can certainly declare to me within the 7 days of the feast. So he gave them a riddle, and he said, if you find out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 changes of garments. Now, when I originally did this, I thought that the error was down here. The error is actually here, because the story doesn't line up. It doesn't fit together. So my original understanding was that this part was in error. No, this part is right. The error is this one line here. So he gives them the riddle, and it came to pass. We're just going to skip this because it doesn't belong. It was put in here as some sort of deception. And it came to pass that they said unto Samson's wife, entice thy husband with entice thy husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Have ye called us to take that we have? Is it not so? So, they didn't want to lose their garments. So they threatened the husband, the wife and her father. And Samson's wife wept before him and said, Dost thou but hate me, and lovest me not? Thou hast put forth a riddle unto the children of my people, and hast not told me. And he said unto her, Behold, I have not told my father nor my mother, and shall I tell thee? And she wept before him 7 days, while their feast lasted. Again, it lasted 7 days. And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her, because she lay sore upon him. And she told the riddle to the children of her people. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day, before the sun went down. Now we know that the sun went down means high noon. The sun is highest up in the air. That is the beginning of the new day. I think that's in Jeremiah somewhere. Just search before the shadow stretches out or something like that. That's what you can test to see when the day begins. It says in the evening before the shadow stretches long, something like that. But the day begins at evening. Anyway, so evening is evening. We all know what evening is. It's afternoon. So when it says the sun went down, it's saying the sun goes down. High noon, before high noon. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day, before the sun went down, that what is sweeter than honey? Anyway, they gave him the answer to the question. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil, and gave change of garments unto them, which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. Now that was not what he was supposed to have done. The marriage was supposed to have happened after this. First you have your 7-day feast, and then afterwards you have your wedding. He just left and went to his father's house because they were probably all at the feast wondering where he was, wondering what was going on. Now, he didn't have to go immediately, but the father thought he was done with her. After he didn't come back, and they're all at the wedding feast, the father thought he was done with her. And Samson's wife was given to his companion, whom he had used as his friend. And then, of course, it says he came back during the harvest season. But it came to pass within a while. So it doesn't seem... This is actually from day. And it came to pass from day of the wheat harvest. Well, anyway, we'll read it as it is. He didn't come right back. And it came to pass within a while after, in the time of the wheat harvest, that Samson visited his wife with a kid. And he said, I will go into my wife into the chamber, but her father would not suffer him to go in. So Samson did not get his wife. It did not go as planned. So now we'll look at Jacob and Rebekah. Again, not the idea marriage, but we work with what we have. Okay, so Jacob loved Rebekah. Jacob was a little bit of, when you read through this, you can kind of tell that Jacob was the sheltered little kid and Esau was like the stud. Jacob, it says up here, it's kind of romantic, but still. And Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. He kissed Jacob. He loved her. He just met her. He loved her. He lifted up his voice in prayer to God, and then he began to cry because he loved her so much. Okay, hey, I'm just not a romantic, I guess. I don't know. It's just a little overboard for me. Not if it was me, though. Of course, it would be wonderful. But hey, Maybe I'm a little jealous. Not really jealous. I'm not jealous of Jacob and Rachel. I love their relationship. But Jacob did it wrong. He was supposed to have gone to his parents, but because of the circumstances, he could not have it arranged by his parents. And so he's going to end up losing about 21 years of his life to this man who is constantly conning him. And in the end, even after 21 years added onto his age, his father-in-law Laban is such a figure in his life that in order for him to finally get away, he's going to have to escape in the middle of the night. But part of this is because he did not do it right, and he knew better. But he had such a love for Rachel that as soon as he met her, it was just pretty much all done for him. And he ends up 21 years of his life. Whereas where we saw before, Samson just said, go and get this woman for me. I love her. And his father went down, made the deal, and it was a done deal, and it was over. Jacob could not have that because Laban was a force to be reckoned with. Anyway, let's read through. And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel thy younger daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him as but a few days, for the love he had for her. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled. Now this word fulfilled just means filled. You can fill up a cup, but it doesn't mean it's overflowing to the rim or fill up a bag. It just means it's filled. And that's important because this leaves room for it to be on the seventh day. Since the day ends at high noon, they could have been out in the field right around high noon. And he said, okay, look, I have one more day to go. My days are done. Give me my wife so that I can go into her. And that's important because on down here it's going to tell us in the evening. So it's going to be the start of a new day. So give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. This is the 7th-day feast. This is the 7th-day feast the 7 years was the feast. He did not have the chance to have his feast because he spent it working. He even worked through the Sabbath year because he was dealing with a shrewd man who was not a godly man, by the way. And so Jacob worked all 7 years, even through the Sabbath year. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast on the very last day. And it came to pass in the evening, so the day is ended, that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went into her on the 8th day. And Laban gave his daughter Leah. And did I mark it here? I didn't mark it. So anyway, well, let's just read through it. It doesn't seem like it's that much. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for an handmaid. And it came to pass in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore hast thou beguiled me? And Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. The Lord did give Jacob wisdom in order to escape Laban eventually with a great amount of wealth. But like I said, he ended up having to escape in the middle of the night. But Laban kept trying to cheat him. That's how he had to outwit Laban, by marking his animals. And then, of course, God would bless his animals and have them increase over Laban's. Okay. But the point of this is that he worked the full week. He worked his full 1 week of the wedding supper. And then in the evening on the 8th day was the actual wedding. That was the point of reading this. the Feast of Booths. Speaking to the children of Israel, saying, in the 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. Now, if you are not familiar with my calendar, you may not be able to follow me exactly the way that I'm speaking here. I'm going to speak as though you are familiar with the calendar. There is one celebratory week. It is the end of the year, and the first day of the year is this here, the 8th day. And I still didn't, I didn't really have any intent on redoing the calendar. We'll do that another time. But speaking to the children of Israel, saying, this 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. This is correct. The first day of the Passover feast is the Day of Atonement. It would be the 9th or the 24th. You shall do no servile work therein. That is actually a Sabbath, and no work should be done on that day. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And on the 8th day is the wedding day. Shall be a holy convocation unto you. This is also the first day of the year. So you have 7 days. The first day is the Day of Atonement. Of course, the next day is going to be the 10th or the 25th. That's the day when the lamb is seized. 3 days and 3 nights go by, and then the lamb is sacrificed. And then you have the third day, which is going to be the 8th day, where Jesus is lifted up. This is also our wedding day. So, on the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, because that is where we are. That is where we are separated. A solemn assembly. And ye shall do no servile work therein. I'm not sure about this part right here. If we're going to be going into heaven, we're probably going to be doing some work, but I don't know yet. I didn't research it, to be honest with you. I just wanted to point that out to you in the prophecies of the feast days. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. The kingdom of heaven suffered violence, even from the days of John the Baptist. So it's going on now, and this is what I found as a continual theme. But it's going to say the kingdom of heaven here. It says the kingdom of God in the next one. So they're talking about the word, how the word is how it's suffering because the people don't have the truth. And the law and the prophets were until John. Since that time, the kingdom of God is preached, and every man presses into it. Jesus answered, I put this in here because Jesus doesn't claim this as his kingdom, even though we're going through the 7-day feast. He doesn't claim it's his kingdom because it includes the tares. The wicked are a part of it. He will claim it at the beginning of the millennium. So it's the same time period, but because of the circumstances, it's not Jesus' kingdom until he is symbolically illustrated as coming for his kingdom in Revelation 19. My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, then I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. So let's look at the parable of the wedding feast. And Jesus answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son. And he sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding. I think this goes from the wedding feast straight into the wedding. I can't recall. Maybe not. And sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. He's talking about Israel. Again he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fatling are killed, and all things are ready. Come into the marriage. Again, he's talking about the marriage supper, but he's speaking as though it is the marriage. When you get married, you think reception, wedding reception. It doesn't have to be spelled out to us if we say wedding. If we start talking about, what kind of colors am I going to have for the tables? Because for my wedding, you know what I'm saying? People just automatically think they're talking about the wedding reception, and that's the way it is here in the Bible. But they made light of it and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city. Then said he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. So the original people that were invited, they were burned up. But the wedding still needs people to show up. Thus the kingdom of heaven. So he said to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. So the judgment has not happened, because they're bringing in anybody that wants to be a part of the wedding. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. In Bible prophecy, your clothes represent your character. So he did not have the character for heaven. He was not dressed properly. And he said unto him, friend, how camest thou hither, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servant, bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Which is a theme when they're talking about the final judgment, casting out into the final judgment, weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. So you have the original who were called Israel, and the servants, those of Israel who were those who were of Israel who were saved and righteous. And then you have the millennium where they go out and they find good and bad and invite them to the wedding during the 1,000-year reign, and then the final judgment. And it shall come to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet. Okay, so I put in here some of the scriptures for the promise, because I've not come across anything that directly showed that we are, well, maybe we are a light to the nations. We are supposed to be a light to the nations. I put that in here as well. But we have a promise. If you read through the Bible carefully, you cannot miss the theme that our calling is to go out and be a light to the nations and bring the rest of the world in to God. But maybe you can see it. I pulled a couple of scriptures for us to look at. Hopefully we'll be able to see it. And if not, then maybe I can go into more details. And I have a video series called The Covenant, so I can maybe add some more there. And it shall come to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet shall be destroyed from among the people. Yea, and all the prophets from Samuel and those that follow after, as many as have spoken, have likewise foretold of these days. Ye are the children of the prophets, and of the covenant which God made with our fathers, saying unto Abraham, and in thy seed shall all the kindred of the earth be blessed. Unto you first, period. This is the punctuation is incorrect. Unto you first, speaking of the children of Israel, period, God, having raised up his son, Jesus, sent him to bless you, in turning away every one of you from his iniquities. The unfaithful city. So we're going to read through this for a few verses. How is the faithful city become an harlot? It was full of judgment, and righteousness lodged in it. But now murderers, thy silver is become dross, thy wine mixed with water. Thy princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Every one loveth gifts and followeth after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither does the cause of the widow come unto them. Therefore saith the Lord of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will ease me of mine adversaries, and avenge me of mine enemies. And I will turn my hand upon thee, and purely purge away thy dross, and take away all thy tin. And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterwards thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment. We know that we are currently being redeemed with judgment. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness. What does that mean? That means the converts will be there with us in heaven while the blessings are being poured out. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment. We go through with the tears, through temptation and tribulation, and the converts get to reap the rewards where we are able to heal and help and preach the word of God unhindered by Satan. Of course, the unrighteous will be there to teach as well, and they will get a chance to share their words. But it's righteousness that they are converted by that converts them. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. A mountain is a huge religion. And of course we know that this is a huge religion. Like Catholicism, of course, Catholics, Protestants, it's a huge religion. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares during the millennium, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Now we know at the very end of the millennium, the wicked people, after Satan is released, the wicked people are going to plan a war against us. They're going to plan a war, and they're going to plan an attack, and they're going to go to Jerusalem. But when they see Jesus there in all of his glory, and Jerusalem in all of its glory, and all the people of God, then they're just gonna, all of that verve is just gonna be knocked out of them, and they're just gonna drop their weapons, they're gonna realize that it's a lost cause, and there's not gonna be a fight or a war. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. This is one of the key scriptures that taught me of the covenant. So hopefully it'll reflect upon you as well. Keep therefore and do. Let me start over. Behold, I have taught you the statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. That was our calling. That was our calling, to live as a representative of Christ and God. And the people would see us and they would say, oh, wow, This is a wise people. And by getting to know us, they would get to know God and want to follow God. That was what we were intended to do. Anyway, for what nation is there so great who has God so nigh unto them as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that has statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? This is our calling. This is what we will do in the millennium. We will be set forth as an example so that people will see us and see the laws of God in action, and say, these people are so righteous and so good. I want to be a part of that nation. I, the Lord, have called thee in righteousness, and will hold thine hand, and will keep thee, and give thee for a covenant of the people, for a light of the Gentile. But Gentiles don't come in. They don't all come in. Everyone doesn't hear the word of God during Revelation 14. There are some people that just don't hear the word. They're not going to be a part of that. So when you get to Revelation 20, you see that the last day saints are brought back. You see, of course, Israel's going to be brought back. The martyrs, so on and so forth. They're all brought back in order to deliver the word to the people that have not heard it. Then, 1,000 years later, the resurrection of the remaining, the first resurrection, the resurrection of the saints. Anyway, we're at 31 minutes, so we're gonna stop there. Yeah, that's all of my scriptures anyway, so we'll stop there, and I guess I'll talk with you in the next video.